Did you hear? I've just opened the doors to a very special challenge for you to help you become more confident about being visible. So this is a 30-day challenge where I'm inviting you to come along with me to show up online every day for 30 days. Now, I've never done anything like this before, but I am excited to try it for myself because I have a couple of colleagues who've done this. And I just have to tell you, I'm blown away by the before and after stories that they're sharing with me. So let's be real for a minute, right? Showing up online is scary for many of us. But I know from launching this podcast that when we step into something like this, that it can be life-changing. So my approach is always to make things as simple and as fun as possible. And that's where the idea for this challenge came up. So I'm inviting you to come along with me as I do it. And I'm going to make it as fun as I can. And it's going to be all about elevating our energy. So for all of us doing this challenge, I believe it's going to be our best month yet. So if you want to join us, head on over to storytonic.co/visible. And I cannot wait to see you inside. Now, let's dive into today's episode. So I want to ask you, do you sometimes feel invisible, even though you're really talented, accomplished, and highly competent? Well, if you're anything like me, you know that you have a lot to offer, that you have a vision for the work that you'd like to do and the impact that you want to have in the world. But at the same time, you may be struggling to be visible or struggling to feel confident about your message. And I know how that feels. For the longest time, on the outside, I was getting a lot of things done, and inside, I was feeling isolated and unseen and unrecognized at a core level. And because of that, sometimes I would shrink back and avoid opportunities to be seen and heard, even though I knew that I needed to speak up or show up in a different way. It's so easy to get stuck there. And when I talk to my clients, one of the first things that they bring up is often this desire to gain the clarity and the confidence to be more visible, to show up in a bolder way, to feel unstoppable, right? This feeling of, I'm here to make a larger contribution, but I don't have the confidence that I can succeed. I don't know how to grow my reach, to create a message that truly means something to me, that really connects with other people. And just as an aside, I do want to acknowledge the fact that many of us feel that self-promotion is really not just uncomfortable, but it's almost anathema to us because, maybe our profession requires discretion, or it's the way that we were brought up, or it's just not something that we've ever aspired to do. But nonetheless, there is this sense of urgency that staying quiet is no longer a real option, right? There's this increasing pressure that now is the time to play a bigger game, and that those of us who can need to step up and lead, right? So I know that when I decided to step up to my next level of confidence, my next level of contribution, I knew that it required me to stand for something, to build the confidence in my own voice, and to take much larger risks than I've ever taken. And those of you who've been listening to this podcast or who've worked with me in the last few months know that I have been through so much change. And the result of that is that I am having so much more momentum in my work and in my personal growth. And growth is hard, but it's also incredible, and it can be joyous. And that is what I want for you all. Because I know what it feels like to be stuck and to feel low energy and to just avoid making waves. But this is our one life. And I want us to have the courage to create lives and careers and communities that we really want. And the moment that you decide to be visible and share your truth is the moment you also have to decide to release resistance. So I want to talk to you about the art of becoming more and more of who you want to be and showing up in a way that energizes you. So one of the clients who's been working with me for about 2 years now, she said that it's hard for her to really wrap her head around the amount of change that she's seen me go through. And so she was asking me the other day, what really has to happen for you to go through such a transformation? And that's what triggered the idea for this episode. And as I was reflecting on her question, I have to say that it's just one small step and one decision at a time. And I feel like focusing on one thing at a time decreases the overwhelm that we often experience when we have that big vision for our lives, but it feels very far from where we are right now. You have to just make the decision to stop being the world's best kept secret, to stop handing over your power to other people, and then just pick the next right action that moves you forward. The idea of playing a larger game created so much resistance and anxiety and fear and doubt within me that it was so hard for me to even imagine getting to the place I wanted to get to. I could envision something exciting, but the process of actually going through the changes I needed to go through just felt impossible. But what if it didn't need to be overwhelming? What if there were specific steps and action items that you could focus on that would decrease the overwhelm and bring it back to a place where you do have control, a place where we know exactly what we want to focus on? So in the process of becoming more comfortable with visibility, I was thinking about my own journey and what I focused on every single day that has led to big change for me. And the first thing I did was to start practice focusing forward, focusing on the future, instead of constantly looking toward the past to inform my decisions and actions. So, of course, this starts with taking the time to create a very, very clear vision. And for me, I couldn't have done that without coaching. And when you have that clear vision and the goals for yourself that come from that vision, then you can begin to line up your actions with it. And so rather than focusing on my past, of all the things that I've done in the past that define who I was then, and how hard and uncomfortable that felt, I was able to focus on what I wanted to create more of. So moving away from the discomfort and into possibility. And when you start focusing on your future and where you want to go and how you want to show up, how you want to feel, and who you want to be, and you begin to practice that on a daily basis, then you can start to create real change instead of constantly reconfirming ideas from your past. So the very first step is to begin to ask yourself, who do I need to be to become the person I want to be and to fulfill my biggest and most exciting goals? What do I need to practice today to line up with those goals? Now, the second thing that you need to do in this process is one that you're probably not going to like, but stay with me here because this is important. The second thing is to notice and learn what you're feeling. Now, most of us suppress our feelings. We avoid them. We pretend to ourselves that we're not having them. We're telling ourselves we shouldn't be having them. But you need to begin to identify what you're feeling, to understand where you are, and to intentionally create the circumstances that allow you to feel how you want to feel. So let's say speaking up makes you uncomfortable, but you want to feel confident. If you think about it for a hot minute, you realize that feeling confident is not going to come from retreating back into playing small, right? So what does that mean? You break it down into one small step at a time. In order to have confidence, you need to create the circumstances that allow you to feel the feelings of being a confident person. And in the process of becoming visible, for me personally, I would ask myself, what would it feel like to not struggle with shyness? What would it feel like to talk with ease to anyone? And I would immediately go to the feelings like confidence, strength, gratitude. And so I need to practice confidence, strength, and gratitude in the present moment in order to help me get more and more of that. So I want you to think about that. What is the impact that you're wanting to have? And what is your goal? And how do you think that you will feel when you get there? Because if you begin to cultivate that feeling and in the life that you have now, it starts to feel closer. So inevitably, one of the things that you're going to feel when you're thinking about visibility is fear. We truly think that we're afraid of being seen. I sure did. But when you think about that fear of visibility, you're not actually afraid of being seen. The truth is, most of us deeply crave being seen at a deep level. It's one of the things that most people talk about wanting in life. It's actually a need. It's a need to be recognized and seen for who you truly are. So the fear of visibility is not really the fear of being seen. It's actually the fear of rejection and even judgment and maybe even humiliation that comes from revealing your true self. And when we start to tap into a message, a voice that feels really authentic to us, and we tap into the gifts that we most want to share with the world, then that really truly represents something very intimate, an intimate aspect of who you are. And so, of course, it makes all kinds of sense that we want to protect that part of us. But unfortunately, the harder we work to protect that part of us, the more we keep ourselves playing small. And the more we do that, the more we feel trapped. When we face our fear of being visible and the potential for judgment, it challenges us to tap into our vision and our motivation and those higher levels of energy so that we find the courage to risk embarrassment or rejection without choosing to disown that important and vital part of ourselves, the one that is connected to our true voice. And so being visible is not about drawing attention to ourselves. It's not about self-promotion. It's not about bragging or being pushy. It's about allowing ourselves to be vulnerable, but deeply rooted in our gifts and the light that we want to shine on in the world. It's grounded in healthy self-esteem and a willingness to connect with other people on a much, much deeper level. It actually liberates your capacity to express yourself, to express your call with a whole lot more elegance. And working through these fears is part of the powerful and transformative work that you can do with a coach. And I strongly encourage you to do that because there is so much freedom on the other side. I'm a testament to that. The third thing that you need to focus on when becoming visible are the things that you can control, right? Start to focus on the things that you can impact, the things that you can change in this moment. When I did that, what ended up happening was I felt so much more empowered. I felt like I had control over where I was headed. And because as long as I was trying to change the unchangeable, I felt out of control. The more I said to myself, I'm an introvert, I'm shy, and I can't speak up, then there was really nowhere to go from there, right? So you're shutting down a whole world of possibilities for yourself when you're doing that. But when I started to focus on what I could change, then I started to feel like a whole lot more was within reach. So what can you change in this moment that's going to put you in energetic alignment with what you want for yourself, for playing bigger and stepping up, right? I want you to remember the power of atomic habits, right? Small steps create small daily shifts that you may not be able to see immediately, but they have a very powerful cumulative effect. Think about how these changes build up over the course of a year, and then 2 years, and then 5 years. When I look back and I realize how powerful these shifts were in my life and continue to be, because I am on this journey right now, you know, these daily habits and changes rewire your brain. They start to change how you see yourself and what you imagine to be possible for yourself. I want you to think about today, each day being the day that you get to really enjoy being you. You should enjoy the practice of becoming who you want to be. It shouldn't feel like grueling hard work. That's not to say that there isn't really hard stuff to deal with. But if you think about the person you want to become, I'm going to take my chances guessing that that person is pretty good at enjoying themselves. So, as I tell my clients all the time, you get good at what you practice. So I'm going to ask you, are you practicing becoming who you want to be? Or are you focused on all the ways that you're not being that person yet? Knowing exactly where you want to go and why, and focusing on the things that you can change, intentionally aligning yourself with how you want to feel, and then focusing on those tiny daily changes that are important to you and enjoying the process, all of that will put you more in alignment with confidence. But there is one more thing. And the last thing that I want to say about what helps with this process of moving into greater visibility, I want you to be around people who want you to show up fully and who are excited about that for you, because it is contagious. You know, if on the other hand, you're around people who are constantly complaining and telling you that being small is the right thing and that your dreams are impossible, you can still bloom in that situation, but it is so much harder, which is again why I thought about this group challenge to help us come together and lift one another up as we're moving towards taking our lives, our businesses to the next level. So I want to say this. If you're feeling really overwhelmed with this idea right now in this episode, everything that I've talked about, and you're feeling really stuck, I don't want you to pressure yourself. You know, we just need to get you some momentum. And as long as you're taking a small action step every day, then you will build momentum. You'll start to move in the direction that you want to move in. And that's how we build ease in areas that were hard. That's how we build confidence in areas that feel overwhelming. So for those of you who are resonating with some or all of this, I want you to remember that you can't reach higher levels of success without deeper levels of self-knowing. You have to cultivate strength and integrity and competence and intention and authentic action. So we are going to be working on this live in person during this 30-day challenge. So if you would like my support and the support of your peers to go deeper into this, and you want to see some changes in 30 days, I would love for you to join us in the free 30-day visibility challenge. The sign up just opened. And the links are in the show notes, and I hope to see you there. Thank you for tuning in. Have a beautiful week. Did you hear? I've just opened the doors to a very special challenge for you to help you become more confident about being visible. So this is a 30-day challenge where I'm inviting you to come along with me to show up online every day for 30 days. So I'm inviting you to come along with me as I do it. And I'm going to make it as fun as I can. And it's going to be all about elevating our energy. So for all of us doing this challenge, I believe it's going to be our best month yet. So if you want to join us, head on over to storytonic.co/visible. And I cannot wait to see you inside.